My name is Claudine Ullman, actress, improviser, and all-round hustler, and you're listening to the Big Time Podcast. My chance to speak to industry greats, movers, shakers, and game changers. People who are making waves and setting new standards. Who are they? What inspires them? And what do they have to do to hit the big time? You hit the big time, baby! Joining us in studio is... Not in studio, from his very own home. Joining us today is my friend, hilariously funny comedian, Tyson Ngubeni, everybody! Hi, friend.
Hi. Hey, how are you?
It is so nice to see you. We are live. Hello, YouTube. Hello, Facebook. Hello, TikTok. We are live on all the things. And it is just so wonderful to see you because I do sometimes see you at comedy. You are Cape Town based, if I'm not mistaken. Full time?
Joburg.
Joking.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Actually, there's jokes on the show from the very start. But I mean, you could be living in, Timbuktu for all I know, because we haven't seen each other in forever.
Yeah. It's been like such a while. I think the last time was in the months kind of leading up to lockdown was in March, but like early this year, probably like February, I think I bumped into you I was watching you at the Melville Comedy Club. Yeah, definitely. So it has been a minute.
It's been a hot minute, my friend. And question one, always, how are you coping? Are you coping? What's going down with you?
It was a rough start, hey? Like those first couple of weeks, probably like the first, I don't know, month or so was just like really, really like anxious, and also just not knowing like how long we're going to be in this for, what life is going to look like afterwards, and all work just came to like a complete stop. And like a lot of my recent work was like, voiceovers and voice acting and that kind of stuff. So there was a sense of what in the world is life going to look like afterwards, and then the weeks like afterwards have like just got like generally better. Eventually after that first like month, got into like a sort of calmer headspace, and then just started like playing around at home and stuff. And then so it started off like super, super anxious, and I think in the background definitely still is, just because of what the world looks like now, but definitely much better than it was in the beginning. And you, how are you? How's you been coping? How's the family?
So my dad is COVID positive. So it's been exceptionally stressful for us, making sure that he recovers, and my mom and my sister are quite high risk, so just making sure that they don't get it. It's an insane time. It's an insane time we are living in, and I am so done with COVID. I'm so done. I'm like, cool, COVID. You came to have your little fun. Now get the fuck out of here. So
right.
I would say the base emotion is not anxiety. It's more like anger. I've moved on to that stage. But I've been good on the whole. I've got a lot to be grateful for. As even though my dad has COVID, he is in recovery, and how bloody great is that? How bloody great is that?
Is he at home recovering?
He is at home. So, his symptoms are very mild. He's had it, for over a week now. So he's in the last phase, and I'm just grateful. I'm in a state of gratitude, to be honest. So I'm happy that you are doing better. And also, you are just killing the socials. No,
Thanks,
big
Claudine.
no, big time. You're on the socials. I mean, who's this? Let's talk about this new character that you've developed, and also how have you found being creative during this time? Has it been a struggle?
It's like those initial kind of like weeks. I think that's when there wasn't any kind of creativity going on. Literally, the only thing I was thinking about was the virus and just staying safe. And of course, that's still there, like now. But it got to a point where I think I was kind of nudged to be playful and creative. Some folks that I go to church with, they wanted to have like hey, why don't we bring together like some young adults, and then you'll just do like a stand-up comedy thing, huh? Tell jokes to a camera. And I was like, kind of knowing also, just because there's like some new kind of comedy material that I've been like mulling over for a while, and like knowing how long it takes to get like a set as good as at least as good as you want it to be if you're going to put on a show. I just thought, no, maybe I could probably stronger doing like skits and stuff, because I did it in the past as well. So I was like, okay, maybe I could put together like a little skit thing for you. And then it ended up being like just a whole news parody thing. So like playing multiple characters. So there was like an anchor character. And then one of the little reports was that kind of Bob O'Connor character, although he has existed for like probably since 2015. But it was my first time using him for like public consumption, essentially. And then, it started there. And then when I put out like that singular Bob skit on its own and people responded the way that they did, it was a case of, okay, cool, but like, why are they responding that way? And then I was like, okay, cool. Maybe he's a weird, quirky American, stuck in Soweto, because that's where I am during lockdown, and he's reporting on quintessentially South African and distinctly township things. And then it just kind of spiraled from there. I just kept on going, and tried to keep it like simple. Like, so the way that I work kind of creatively, not to let kind of the noise kind of impact or influence that. And then it just became a sense of, okay, cool, what if I try to put out a new skit once a week, like once every Thursday with this particular character. And then also the weird things that I do on my own, like vocally, what if, you can bring those to the fore as well. So that's how it all kind of came together.
I mean, that is so bloody cool. And it's so cool that, even though, as you say, the first few weeks were hard, I feel like you've like found your groove, which is really cool, and just so great to watch. So I'm a huge fan of yours. And I've seen you obviously doing stand-up. We've done improv together, which has been awesome. Tell me about like your past, how you got into improv, how you got into stand-up.
It was the second year in Grahamstown, where I was studying at Rhodes, and there's a drama company, like an independent drama company, but that was kind of affiliated to the Rhodes drama department, called UBOM, run by Janet Buckland. And at the time, there was a volunteer. He was just a volunteer for UBOM, like just running workshops for them and doing all sorts of theater-related stuff. His name is Matthew Jackson. And he's like from the west coast of the States, but both his parents are South African, but he was born in the States. And he went to like a tiny university on the west coast in Washington State. And he basically thought to himself, actually, like improv troops are quite a thing, like on American university campuses. And he's like, oh, it'd be cool maybe to start like something here. And then he just put flyers all over campus, like, come through an audition for an improv comedy troupe. When I saw it, I was like, huh? And then on the post, I think he did say, in the style of like, whose line is it anyway? So it was like short form improv. And then I went to the into the auditions, and Prince was also there. Prince, fellow comic. Yeah.
Totally. Prince is amazing.
Went there. Incredible.
Yeah.
Went there, auditioned, and was honestly life-changing. Just everything that I learned there, just in terms of how like the craft kind of works, and the rapport that you kind of build, like, you know, with your fellow players. And we actually rehearsed for a long time. So auditions were held in May, but we had our first show in like September of that year. So it was like a long kind of wait. It's like months worth of like rehearsals, probably like twice a week or 3 times a week, usually for like an hour and a half at a time. And then by the time we got to our first show, we obviously were very nervous, and it was so like beautiful, the trust that existed between the performers, and just the magic of every single show being absolutely like unique. I mean, you know, as well, like no two shows are the same, you know, because of the people in the room and everything that happens. And just in terms of opening yourself up to anything that could happen and just being like okay with it, it was such an invaluable experience that I still carry with me in like all sorts of creative work that I do, like accepting offers, and just being okay with the unexpected, and just the playfulness. Yeah. So that's how the improv journey started. Sorry, it was a waffling answer.
No, I'm in there. I'm in that story. I'm listening to you. That's awesome. Do you think that improv has affected stand-up in that way? Like, it has affected
my
how
personal
you stand-up, I should say.
Absolutely, yeah. In terms of being okay with, okay, it's hard, obviously, but being okay with silence from time to time, just because people aren't laughing doesn't mean they aren't paying attention, and doesn't mean what you're either saying or doing isn't engaging. So that's something I took from like improv. And also literally being open to what happens in a room. I've seen you do this a lot of the time, where you're super responsive, whether like something crashes in the back of a comedy room, the way that you respond to it is always like quite interesting. How you a lot of comics like do this, especially the more kind of experienced ones, but it's so interesting knowing your improv background and seeing the way that you respond to things that happen in the moment, and how you build like stories and scenarios around like things that happen in the moment. That's something I've seen you do a lot, and it probably owes to your improv background as well. So yeah, those kinds of things, like massive impact. Yeah.
Amazing. And I mean, so you got into improv before you got into stand-up?
It was around about the same time. Like I dipped my toes in stand-up like before my first year at Rhodes was 2010. Before I left, like I literally I hopped on an open mic at like Cool Runnings, like 2009, like or something. And then I did it, and it was cool. I got the rush. And then I did like one tiny show at the space.com in November before I came down to Grahamstown. But I only started doing it properly like in my second year at Rhodes, which was 2011, around about the same year I was starting the improv thing. And I remember at the time, a lot of what I do, like I used to write audio skits for like the campus radio station. And it was like Rhodes specific humor, like things that happened like in Grahamstown and stuff. And I would write jokes about like the dining hall and like the restrictions to the juice that you were, you know what I mean? Like super specific stuff to the and then as we carried on, like the ambition just became, it would be cool to like perform like in different dining halls. So my world was like Rhodes, and I was like, it would be really nice to start like, you know, getting to know audiences in different parts of like the campus. And then that eventually happened, and then but it really started in 2011 properly, I'd say.
And you weren't studying drama.
What about you? I was there. I was doing journalism and drama. Those were my two majors.
Okay, fine. Okay, cool. Amazing. You know, also, this is now, I don't know, my gazillionth episode, and like so interesting to see how like people got into stand-up, and because as you say, like that bug bit you, and you were like, this is it. This is it. So I want to play Would You Rather with you. Would you rather, and you can only choose one. Would you rather improv for the rest of your life, stand up for the rest of your life, but you can't do the other at all?
Improv, without a doubt.
Really?
Do you want me to say why?
Yeah. Tell me why.
There is, man, there's a, like when it's done really well, and it's and I don't mean, you can have like decent shows and not so great shows, but I think when it's done like really, really well, there's like a magic of literally co-creating a show with a particular audience on a particular day. That magic is just absolutely like incredible. The fact, in its own tiny little way, there's something about improv that has to democratize comedy, where we're literally creating, and I'm not just talking suggestions, but I'm talking those moments where the audience, be it selected members of the audience coming onto stage, or where you're playing games where you're relying on the audience for the joke to land, and everybody's willing you on, and everybody is sometimes seeing people try and fail. That's funny, and it's cool, but to be in a space where you're kind of you're completely relying on each other, and to create a show that is never going to happen again by virtue of the people in the room, the suggestions on the night, and everything that happened collectively. It's incredible. I've experienced it so many times, and personally, I'm excited for what improv can still do and be in South Africa, because I think like it's happening, like there's jittery like up here, and there's guys I think like causing a scene, and there's I think a couple of people working down in Cape Town and in the Eastern Cape. I forget the name of the troupe down there, but just the possibilities, and also improv as a gateway for people to get into performance in general. I've seen how impactful it can be. So I don't know, it excites me. It really excites me. Yeah. What about you?
I just want to say that is the right answer. I asked Ryan Whittle yesterday, and he chose stand up, and I was like, I have my days. I am passionate about improv, obviously. I'm passionate about stand up too. I'm much better at improv because I've been doing it for 10 years longer. So improv comes naturally and is easy for me. Stand-up isn't as easy. Could I live without it? Do I have to choose one? Have to go for improv. Have to go for improv. Got to do it. And exactly
what is it about?
No, exactly why you're saying there is like a magic that is created when we are creating together. Stand-up is, you are a lone wolf. You are on stage by yourself. You win, you take all the glory. You die, you die. You die alone. Yeah, totally. But like there is something, like even when the troupe, like I am so grateful for who I get to improvise with, because I don't remember the last time we've had like a failure show, like maybe a corporate where nobody's listening and you're trying to get attention. But like in terms of our general shows, the standard I find so high that I know this sounds ridiculous. I've forgotten what it's like to fail in improv. I've forgotten what it's like to fail in improv. And it's very difficult to fail. The only time you really fail is cool, nobody's listening because they're at the bar drinking. That sort of vibe,
Yeah.
But it's not like stand-up.
Do you think that...
Oh, it's
funny! Yeah.
Get off the stage!
Oh my gosh. Do you find... that also it's like because of like the kind of team that you've kind of built around you, and the people and how giving they are from moment to moment?
Oh my gosh. Totally, 100%. I trust everyone in my team. I am just like, what I try to do with Jittery is create a team of players that are so much better than me. Just the
Yeah.
most amazing performers, hilarious humans, to ensure that I am constantly learning and growing. So part of it is actually quite selfish, but also it's just I've got to pinch myself when I look at who I get to work with, in terms of the improv world in this, especially in this country. So it's amazing. Okay, so you are winning because that was the right answer. So what I have to ask you is, you've done lots in terms of stand-up as well. You've had a one-man show. I feel like people are, especially South African audiences, are a lot more adept to stand-up. It's a lot bigger in this country. Have you what have been some big highlights in terms of your stand-up career?
Definitely like the Dark Ages, the show, just because it was such a such a deeply personal show in terms of like the subject matter, completely autobiographical, and also like the way that people kind of, I felt like with each show kind of understood people, like they were, I don't know, people were getting kind of like where I was coming from, like with that particular show. And also there was because that there's always that little voice in your head that kind of tells you, no, you can't do it, or it's not going to work, that kind of voice of doubt, to kind of be okay with it kind of being there but pushing ahead anyway. So that was like super super special. And honestly, the many chances and opportunities that I get to be working with people that I admire, like on a consistent basis. Also, just because the industry is small in the sense of like the venues that we have during the week. So that means certain things in terms of who you get to interact with and speak to during and after shows, which is incredibly valuable. But apart from that, just in terms of shows, it's definitely kind of that, and the Showmax thing, that the Funny People Africa, and what else? Yeah, I don't know, the relationships that I've built, like, and that I continue to build, like with like working comics and people who I really look up to, and people who are just trying like different things and who are pushing themselves. Yeah.
No, that's power.
Yeah.
That's so power. Has there been a moment in your career that you've gone, this is it, I've hit the big time?
Look, they've been good moments, but I don't know, it's probably, I tend to be incredibly like kind of self-critical and not wanting to either believe the hype, probably because one thing I'm afraid of is like plateauing. And maybe if I start kind of, if I start kind of consciously saying, okay, cool, I've hit the big time, I'm afraid that might come with a mentality of like, okay, cool, I've got this, I know what I'm doing, and then like a slightly lower hunger to want to grow and want to continue to be teachable and learn. So I think there've been milestones, obviously some of the biggest of which have literally been like now during like lockdown, and the work that I've been very fortunate like to do with some people that I really admire. Yeah, so they've definitely been moments that I kind of experienced and I look at like fondly, but I don't know. I'm a part of me is quite afraid of saying I did it, so I've done it. Just because I don't want to. I'm very afraid of like stopping to grow and to learn. So yeah.
I totally get. No,
I'm sorry. It's a bit of a pop-up.
I totally hear that. And, it's so interesting doing the show, and it's so inspiring for me speaking to everyone, because you hear about how people view success. And you've done really some amazing big time things that are big time for me, and just like so incredible to see like how hard we are on ourselves. How hard we are on ourselves. You've done amazing bloody stuff that needs to be rewarded and celebrated, and totally you've hit the big time in my eyes, and it's just crazy to see, because when I talk about my career, I've started being so aware about going, actually I've done this thing. And that's bloody huge, and nobody's done that in this country.
Yeah.
And I've performed here, and nobody's performed here. And, and actually celebrating my milestones, or milestone, that's hilarious. Celebrating my milestones as, wow, is, I need to be celebrated, actually. I don't do it enough, So tell me, what is your big time? What is your future big time?
It's so interesting, this question. It's a fascinating question, because I think a lot of where my kind of anxiety and anxiety about like the career probably like kind of came from like in the past, and a lot of things that have helped shift my perspective and just get me to calm down and be like okay in the moment, is kind of not attaching the sense of success to kind of things that I do, but more to the way that I work, and the way that I view my work from like day to day. So yes, I absolutely agree that like things kind of should be celebrated. And this past week, for example, when the Chicken Licken campaign like was released, there was a moment of I spent a lot of the day crying, to be honest with you, just because there was a lot of I was just kind of taking stock. Yeah. I was just taking stock of like everything kind of that's happened, obviously in the recent while, but also literally the like going back as far back as like finishing school. Like I'm 32 now. I finished school in 2006, and then I had to I was working in a call center for like 3 years because of like money issues, and then I saved up money, and then I went to Rhodes, and then got the skills, and even after Rhodes, the rejection. I mean, I didn't have an agent until these videos started blowing up, and I've been like knocking on people's doors. You know what I mean? So it's just a case of like looking back and taking stock of like all of the struggles and also the successes, and being like, this is incredible and I'm going to appreciate this. But in terms of thinking of like the big time, I try not to pressure myself into saying, okay, when this happens, then I'll be like, yay. I appreciate and I celebrate like milestones kind of as they happen. And then from day to day, instead of like looking too far ahead and being like, okay, that needs to happen, I kind of think about what am I doing now, and am I being as good as I can be now? So yeah, and then by the time big things happen, then it's like, oh yay, great, and I try to be as good as possible like in that particular moment. So I took up running, I think it was 2018, and I've only done like 3 half marathons, but like on those times sometimes when I think about the finish line, my body just gets like, oh, so tired, and I kind of want to like walk it. But if I kind of break it down to like the next 8 steps, then it kind of keeps me focused, and whatever I'm doing now in these next 8 steps is contributing to how good I can be like at a later stage. Like the process is the product. So I try to look at to not think too much about like future milestones or future things, just because I don't like what that pressure does to my anxiety about the career. So I've tried to focus on like how good can I be in what I'm doing now. And then that cumulatively, from month to month, year to year, has an impact on whatever will come. So I don't know if that makes sense, but like, yeah.
Yes, totally. It totally makes sense. And you know what? I think something that I definitely struggle with is enjoying the journey, being grateful for the journey, and not comparing.
Yeah.
Because my journey is not your journey, and your journey cannot be my journey, and not going, well, this one got a chicken, Tyson got a chicken licking commercial, I didn't, and actually just going, yay for Tyson, so cool for him. That's his journey. My chicken licking advert will come too one day. You know what I mean? Like, just really putting it in perspective and going, cool, all the rejection, all the shit. You not finding an agent, you found the agent at the perfect time. I promise you, my friend. And it really is about going, cool. The reason I only found an agent now, and you'll only know that in hindsight, is because...
Hindsight, 100%.
Totally, because of timing. This time, the timing wasn't right. It was your journey, and your journey was to find an agent later on in life, and do a one-man show without an agent.
Yeah.
And get a whole lot of work without an agent. It's also shown you how resilient you are.
Yeah.
It's so admirable.
Yeah.
It really is.
Thank you. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. And 100% like agree with you on that. The whole comparison thing can just it like robs you of like your own kind of like sense of like peace and stuff. And sometimes, especially kind of now, just because we're all literally like following each other, and we're seeing kind of what we're doing from day to day, week to week. It gets like hard not to be like, man. It's that feeling of like, sometimes when you know in your heart you can do something, but it's just a matter of like being given the opportunity to show that I can do this, and that I can do this well. But something else that's helped my perspective on like not like comparing myself is understanding success is not relative to what other people are doing, but relative to, am I doing the best I can to kind of like release like my personal potential. It's deeply personal. It's not necessarily about the things that Claudine was doing with Jittery, even though I know that I can be like doing that. You know what I mean? Claudine is doing amazing in improv because from day to day she's looking at the things that she could be doing to unleash like the potential that's unique to her. And you know what I mean? So it's deeply personal in that sense. Once I start kind of looking at other things, then I'm robbing myself of genuinely taking the steps to pursue something that's a journey that's like so specific to me and stuff. And I think that definitely helped my anxiety, like sometimes, well, just to be like, okay, this is like a personal journey, because I do have incredible colleagues, incredible friends who I've seen do phenomenal things like over the years, but over time, like I never used to be like good at this. It's human nature sometimes to just because you want to be kind of doing well, you find yourself like kind of comparing yourself. But but once I kind of started to understand success as like a deeply personal thing that has, its own kind of like timing to me personally, then it definitely helped shape the way that I think about it. Yeah.
That's so power. It's so power. And on that, do you feel that you found your voice?
I think so. In terms of like comedy, in terms of performance in general, I definitely think so. And that in itself has been like hard. And even in saying that, I don't know, I love like being kind of open and opening myself up to opportunities to learn and to try things. And it's difficult, but opening myself up to be crap again, like, because when you try something new, like you tend to, it's a long process to. So yes, like the whole finding my voice thing, what I realized actually over the recent while is that performatively, I perhaps didn't trust my voice, especially when it comes to the voice work that I do and the quirky character things that I do. Because a lot of that was just like, it was a very private thing. It was just something that I do, like literally to myself. I talk to myself. It's Cheryl from Randwick, and I talking about Nicole. Oh, I just need a salami stick and I need some brass smoke in my nose and just at the Wanderers and hearing the sounds. I think I love that. Like I do, like I just talk to myself like, and I just be like in secret, or just like other like voices that I do. For the longest time I didn't. There's something about, I just said to myself, no man, this is what, who would ever want to someone talking to themselves in the different voices? Only now that we've been thrust into this weird situation where it's like, I think there are no rules and we're, to an extent, we're all winging it. And then that helped me in terms of that side of my performative self. The fact that we're all winging it and we're just like, whatever, helped me trust myself a little bit like more. So yeah, it's been long in the sense that for a long time I just kind of kept it to myself and was like, who's going to watch that? Who's going to listen? It's just a weird guy who talks to himself in different voices. So it takes such a long time to trust yourself and to be. What did Peter Dinklage say? There's this incredible speech that he gave at a university. He's like, where you give yourself permission to fail, where you just throw yourself out there and you're just like, you know what? I'm just going to play and be creative. Job, but it's like, if it fails, it fails, but I'm going to do it anyway because it feels kind of good to me creatively. And so, and I watched that speech a lot and I was watching it again last week, where he speaks about his journey. And he says I was 29 years old when I finally gave myself permission to fail, like to just dive headfirst and just go for it. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, yeah, totally, and if I think of my stand-up journey, it's taken me 4 years to find that, so as we say, everybody's journey is totally different. And I was speaking to Dan Buckland the other night, and it was so interesting what he was saying about voices. Like, have you found your voice? Like, especially in stand-up, a lot of us think that like that is the final destination. And once I have found my voice, that is it. It's me. It's what I want to say. Whereas he was talking about, I've got my voice for now. And how your voice changes throughout the years and the things you want to say change. And that was just so mind-blowing to me because I was like, I found my voice, but it's for now,
And that, oh man, that's just that's so incredible. Woo, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. Just because what that says to me is that to me, it says that like, he doesn't close himself off to opportunities to grow, right? Just because like the older you grow, you go through things, you start to see things and experience things differently. And what if that has implications on the way that you create art, So that, oh man, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And oh man, I heard actually there's a guy, there's a clip that I heard on YouTube. Actually, he's like Miles Monroe. He said sometimes your biggest hurdle to like growth is your most recent success. If you find something that works for you and you cling on to it, to the extent that you close yourself off to opportunities to actually grow and become and find other interesting avenues of expression, So listening to what Daniel said is just like, wow, incredible. So incredible.
Yeah, well, repeat what you just said, because that was like an aha moment in itself, about your biggest success.
It's like sometimes your most what? Your most recent success can be your biggest enemy, in the sense that can be your biggest enemy in that it can stop you from
this is what defines me, this is who I am, this is all I'm known as. Oh my gosh, totally. What I want to know from totally. What I want to know from you is, are there any post-lockdown or during lockdown performance plans? What is next for you?
During lockdown, it's okay. So I was very fortunate at the end of last year to start to work with Sesame, and just before the lockdown, we were
Takalani Sesame.
Yes, Takalani Sesame, but also but also globally, like the characters, the block. Okay, how would I call it? So it's part of like a new 5-minute segment which features both on Takalani Sesame but also Sesame globally. So in terms of the stuff that we recorded, like the puppetry and stuff, for example, they would take those episodes and dub them into German and into Spanish and into Russian and into this and that. So we're part of like the global block of characters, and we learned like last year. When was it? The auditions were in September, and then we started recording, I think, like middle of October last year. So what was happening just before lockdown, we were still finishing dubbing for Takalani into local languages. So I was doing my character, but in isiZulu. And so as the levels have gone down, we've started kind of resuming that work, like usually alone in a studio booth and doing stuff. So there's kind of work related to that, and then afterwards, it's just
that's so cool. I've worked with Sesame Street and Takalani Sesame as well, and they just such a great team. So the fact that you are a character, I feel like that's a dream job. It's just so fun. Like, you're working with such a great team. That's so cool. It's so cool.
Loads of fun. Awesome. Incredible. And again, a super steep learning curve, like this style of puppetry, and you're thinking about a million things at the same time. So that's been enjoyable to be like challenged like so much from day to day. But there's definitely like that. In terms of performances, look, if the opportunity allows, I don't know, maybe kind of doing something online, but at the same time, I don't know, it's such a difficult kind of time, and the jobs situation and people not having money, that I don't know. But at the same time, we're artists and we need to make work. This is work for us. But there isn't anything kind of like specific, but ideas that I was kind of mulling over in terms of like stand up, maybe find a way to do them in an interesting character driven way, like online, then maybe. What about you?
I want to do my one-woman show. I want to do some jittery performances, and I actually want to write a second one-woman show, and just really like play with, because my stuff is very clowning, very audience interaction, very character-based. So just play with how I use this medium to have that same interaction with my audience, which, you know, may work, may not work, but I got to take that risk. You know what I mean, my friend? Tyson, you have been an absolute delight. Before I let you go, I just want to know, where can people find you?
Yeah, pretty much social media. Just we'll be playing around there from time to time. It's at Tyson Ngubeni, just my name and surname, on all the major platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram.
Well, I have just absolutely loved catching up with you. I cannot wait for you to perform with Jittery again. So please get your improv heart and soul ready so you can do that. And I just think you are funny and hilarious and brilliant. So thank you so, so much for being on The Big Time. I appreciate it so much, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudine. I appreciate you. I hope everything is well, and also with your dad and everybody. Much love.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Adorage. Bye, my friend. Thank you.
Bye.
Guys, that was Tyson Ngubeni. If you aren't following him, please follow him right now on all the socials at Tyson Ngubeni. He is just a hilarious comedian and one to watch. If you guys are enjoying The Big Time, thank you for hitting subscribe. Thank you for liking. Thank you for following. We are going to have more episodes of The Big Time coming to you. You can keep the suggestions going. A lot of you have been asking me for certain celebrities to interview, and I will do my damnedest to make sure that they are here on the show. So don't forget to hit subscribe and follow me on all the platforms to not miss out on another episode of The Big Time. I will see you on Monday again for loads more celebrities. Lots of celebrities are going to be on the show, guys. You're the best. I'll see you on Monday again. Bye.